Good day, everyone. My name is Hayden Jamal of HaydenJamal.com, and today I want to congratulate you for mustering up the courage to go and perform for the first time. And because it's your first time, you need to be prepared. So let me give you all the preparation needed so that you can kill your first performance. So while we're not going to talk about actually performing, I wanted to give you all of those intangible things so that everything can go as smooth as possible for your performance. You want to make sure that you have your music available in multiple different ways. You want to have it on your phone, you want to have it on CD, you want to have it on a flash drive, preferably on your keys, and you want to have it available for email in an online Google Drive or an online Dropbox, somewhere where you can access it online at all times. So you want to be prepared for anything that could happen. If you walk up to the DJ booth and they have a brand new MacBook and they're not thinking and they don't have any USB ports and you have your music only available on a thumb drive, you're kind of in a bind. Those new computers, a lot of them don't have CD drives, and a lot of DJs now are taking your music via email, just hoping that they would have internet access. But if you have a smartphone and they have a computer, you can always Bluetooth your actual file over into the computer as well. So just by having it on your smartphone, having it in Google Drive or something like that, having a CD and a thumb drive, you should have all of the options readily available in the event something does go wrong. So this is just preference, but you want to make sure that you have a performance mix of your actual record. Well, what is an actual performance mix? Well, I'm glad you asked. Most people build songs with verses, hooks, and bridges. And so with that, a performance mix is where you actually take out the main lead vocal of your verses and sometimes your bridges. And so when you're actually performing, you are performing all of the lyrics. Sometimes you'll have doubles and ad-libs, and of course you can leave those in there, but you want to be performing the bulk of the lyrics when you're doing an actual performance. During the hook part or the chorus part per se, you want to have that completely there. You don't need to take anything out. Usually this is where you can go ahead and catch a breather and prepare for the next part or the next verse. In the bridge, you can completely leave that up to your discretion whether or not you want to take out the main lead vocal. But for me, I try to take out as much main lead vocal as possible. This way I can ingratiate myself with the crowd a lot better. Now, I say it's preference because there are some people who prefer to actually perform the record with the record playing in the background. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but hear it from my perspective. When you go into a club or when you go into a bar and they're playing music that, let's say, you're familiar with or you're not familiar with, the most someone is going to do is catch notice of it and probably pull their phone out and Shazam it because they like the song, or they're just going to ignore it because it's just background music to them at some point. But think about it like this. You are there performing. There should be no one confused whether or not you are there performing. Everyone should know that you are there. And when you grab a microphone and you start performing live and giving that energy, people have no choice but to pay attention to you, for better or worse. The other thing is that you're going to completely set yourself apart and you're going to make it known that you are a professional. There are a lot of people who are afraid of messing up their lyrics, and so they'll perform with the song in the background. But you completely set yourself apart by showing, hey, I've come prepared, and so if you're going to give me 4 minutes of your time, I have taken enough time to make sure that I crafted my lyrics well and I can deliver them so that you can enjoy the song. So here's a couple of more smaller key points. 1. Do not perform any music that isn't readily available. Nothing will kill an entire vibe by saying, hey, I know you really like this performance I just put on, and I know you really were vibing with that song, but it's not available yet because I haven't gotten it mixed yet. Do not do that. You're just ruining an entire reputation for yourself already. When you go to perform and when you go to present in front of an audience, you're saying, hey, I have this readily available for your consumption now. Point number 2 would be to stick around for the entire show or the majority of it. If there are other artists there and they have watched you perform, then don't be that one guy who just shows up to perform and then leaves. Number 3, you want to make sure that you show up on time. In the music business, time is money. There are people who literally get paid thousands of dollars per minute for an appearance. and you need to build up the habit of showing up on time. If someone very important in the music industry wants to meet with you at 7 and you show up at 7:07, it is likely that they will be gone because you have literally wasted their time. When someone books you for a show or when there is an open mic venue at a certain time, show up on time. If for anything, just to build up the actual practice of showing up on time. Point number 4 would be to rehearse your songs over and over and over. You ought to know your songs like the back of your hand. You ought to know where your verses begin. You ought to know where to stop and start. You ought to know where to take your breaths. You better have an understanding because this will lead to a better performance overall. You don't want to be in a situation where you completely miss an entire section of your song just because you weren't prepared enough. And it's okay to stutter in a verse. It is completely human and it happens. But the thing is, if you know your verse and you know your songs really well, you can stutter and get right back on it. But if you're not prepared, you may miss an entire section of your song. And that is a complete embarrassment to yourself and your branding that you're trying to build. Point number 5 would probably be the most underrated point that I think anyone should abide by up until you become a complete rock star. And that is, do not put a ton of energy into your performance. Let me just tell you a really quick story. So my very first time performing, I went bonkers. I put so much energy into my actual performance that I lost my voice halfway into the song. And I didn't have any energy and I was just out of breath and, I was just really trying to put on a show. But the thing about it is that when you're not a known someone, putting all of that energy into a show, one, shows that you've probably never been there before and that you're really anxious and you don't want to give people the impression that you're just so hyped that you're out there ready to perform. You kind of want to, exude that I've done this before. So don't put too much energy into it. Also, execution in your lyrics, execution in actually saying out your song and such is more important than energy at this point. When you get big and you're a rock star, like your favorite performers, your favorite artists, they can go completely crazy because the audience knows the lyrics and everything, but you really cannot afford that. You are there to present fully. You are not there to give a 100% energetic, run around, bouncing off the walls performance. So just make sure that you kill it with your lyrics and your pronunciation and your enunciation and everything, and you will be much better off in your performance. Just don't put too much energy into it. Point number 6, which is also very important, is don't take yourself too seriously. If you mess up, it's okay, and make sure that you have fun. My name is Hayden Jamal of HaydenJamal.com of Motif Legend. Remember, I'm a rapper and a songwriter. Please follow me on social media, Twitter and Instagram. The links are in the description below. Remember to be the dream, stop dreaming.
No one thinks, never apologize for how I feel. That's like saying sorry, you're feeling remorse for being ripped. When I make it, it exposes fakeness in their actions. I pay just as much attention to the people not clapping.